is their company philosophy. So again, when we talk about codification, it's going to inform what this thing is, right? So let's start with a broad definition. A legal code is a set of laws that's general in nature, it's permanent, it's existing law, and this is important, it's organized by subject matter. Anyone who's ever picked up a statute and read it probably takes that for granted. However, if you're sitting here and looking at me and going, oh my God, I just lost 5 minutes of my life that I'll never get back, it doesn't start that way. And so to understand how valuable this is, we're going to do a little crash course on legislation, particularly or specifically legislation, the legislative process, and legislative documents in the city of Chicago. All right, so we start with the basics here, right? The city council meets once a month, and all of our legislators come together and they bring to us thousands of legislative ideas. When I say thousands of legislative ideas, I mean thousands of them. Let me turn this chair around. So, our aldermen show up and they hand us at the city clerk's office. Each one of these pieces of paper is an idea. It is a proposal. It is nothing substantively binding yet. They give it to us, and the way that it is organized at this point in time is by sponsor. Whose idea is it? And if you think about it, that makes sense because there's no other possible organization at this point. We have absolutely no idea what's in this yet. As soon as we get that information, we immediately start reorganizing it. And the way that we reorganize it is by the body that's going to work on it. Who is going to look at this matter? And that's when we take each one of these, we break it down to the committee that it's going to be referred to. If you think about the city council, right, not all 50 members are going to consider every single piece of legislation. They would never go home. The working bodies are the committees. So ideas that come to us, they can be very simple, like we'd like to put an awning at Wells and Harrison. Please approve that concept. Or they can be very complicated ideas. An example of a very complicated idea is the recent renegotiation of the parking meters, right? So the parking meter deal was both code, it was municipal code amendments, it was also the restructuring and the renegotiation of a contract. So these are both legally binding documents, once passed, but they're very different in nature. And that's going to be relevant to our conversation and what really ends up being in our code. Okay, so now we've taken what is initially organized by sponsor, we've turned it into documents that are now organized by working body, and the committees themselves are going to start a 3-week process of reviewing this material, amending it, making recommendations, and eventually they're going to go to the city council and they're going to say, all right, city council, we suggest that you pass, say, measures 1 through 8 that we heard this month. At that point in time, almost always the city council takes the advice of their fellow colleagues in the committee level. Dan said to me, he goes, what are they talking about in city council? Like, what is going on, right? Every once in a while, not everyone agrees, and that's really what they're talking about. They're talking about a committee report that's come out that contains something that somebody in city council doesn't like. But for the most part, of the 2,000 ideas that come in, 750 to 1,000 of them are going to pass in any given month. So this has been a 4-week process, and as soon as that passage happens, the clerk's office then starts another metamorphosis. They're going to take all of that information